So in our last session, ultimately, we had 3 drills, and we spoke about those drills quite extensively. I'm not going to go through that in this session. If you want to get those price ladder drills, they are available on the YouTube channel. You can go and have a look at our channel all about price ladder. What I'm going to go through today is the bottom 4. Okay, so last week we discussed the first 3. Today I'm going to go through the bottom 4, and then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go and just maybe showcase them to you on the price ladder. Okay, they're all very, very straightforward, but I will showcase them to you on the price ladder, so you've also got an understanding of how they work. What we'll then do is we'll come back and talk a little bit about style of trading, because I think it's a nice segue after talking about price ladder draws. Okay, now, if you don't know what the price ladder is, obviously this is not the purpose of this topic. It is something that there's quite a lot of educational content out there. But in a general sense, the price ladder is just simply executing at the market using a DOM, okay, or a depth of market tool. Now, today's session, we've got 4 drills, and the first 2 drills are kind of similar but opposites. They'll teach different lessons. And with every one of these drills, what I urge you to do is I urge you to go and spend 1 day doing this on a sim environment. Okay, don't worry about P&L here. Don't worry about what the market's doing. Don't even worry about what the charts are doing. None of that is going to add any value to you. Get rid of the charts and just have a price ladder up. Okay, and what I want you to do is for the entire session, I want you to go and don't worry about strategy. Don't worry about whether you're buying or selling it. It's all irrelevant. All I want you to do is I want you to go and use a 5-tick stop and a 10-tick winner. Okay, so very much a scalp type strategy where you use a 5-tick stop. And again, the market doesn't matter. You can use gold, NASDAQ, S&P, use whatever you want. Okay, go use a 5-tick stop, use a 10-tick winner, and do that for the entire session. And what I want you to do is every time you think of something, write it down. Okay, now every single time you enter and exit, you're going to have some different type of observation. And it's those observations I want you to track. Because what's going to happen at the end of the session is you're going to go read through all those observations and you're going to go and summarize the lesson. Now, the key purpose behind this lesson is it gets you to focus a little bit more on risk reward. Things like win rate are going to come to your mind. Things like, oh, I got stopped out of that very quickly. Oh, it took a long time to get that 10-tick winner. Oh, wow, sometimes I get stopped out 3 times in a row with a 5-tick stop. Those are the kind of observations you're going to experience. Okay, now let me just briefly illustrate. I'm just going to get the price ladder up quickly. So don't worry too much about this in terms of what you're seeing. All I'm going to do is just click on it. So what you got is the S&P 500 on the left. So I'm simply going to enter the market. I'm just going to go and put my stop straight away. And I'm going to put it down at 5-tick stop. And I'm going to go put a target for 10 ticks, just a limit order. I'm going to do something like that. Okay. So straight away you can see that, let's move that up one more. Straight away you can see that I've got a 5-tick stop in place and a 10-tick target. And then I just watch it. I just want to watch it. I just want to observe it. I just want to see what happens. I want to think about how long it takes. I want to think about, how much pressure does the market put under? How does the market, how quickly does it get there? Does it jump up? What's liquidity like? All these sorts of questions. Anything you think of, go and write it down. Okay, that's the key purpose of these drill sessions. And you do that for an entire session. Now, an entire session doesn't have to be 10 hours, guys. I think 4 hours is a really, really good amount of time to just focus in and zone in on this type of drill. Okay, that's the first drill. Now, the second drill is the complete opposite of that. We're going to use a 10-tick stop and a 5-tick winner. And now a lot of you should be scratching your head, and straight away you should be saying, well, hang on a sec. In the first instance, I've got a 2-to-1 risk reward. And then the second one, I've got a 1-to-2 risk reward. Now, naturally, instinctively, you're all going to think, wow, okay, that really is going to be difficult because I'd need to have some really good win rate in order for that to work. Okay. Now, the key thing to trading, what I see with too many traders is they're desperate for education because they're desperate for someone to tell them the truths in trading. The reality is no one really knows the truths. We're all just trying to figure out the truths. Okay. And that's why we do this drill. Let's go figure out the truths. So we're going to get out of this trade. We're going to simply go and get in a trade. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to go place a stop for 10 ticks. And we're going to put it over there. There. Okay. And we're going to use a 5-tick target. And we're going to place it over there. And we're going to observe it. And we're going to go and see now, well, in actual fact, am I capable of getting a very high win rate or a sufficiently high win rate for this to make sense? Okay? Now, in this strategy or this drill, compared to the other one, it's going to feel a lot easier. It's going to feel like, oh, wow, I tend to get these 5-tick winners quite a lot. And I very rarely get hit on the 10-tick stop. But if you go look back at the end of the session and you look at your P&L, You're going to have felt like you were quite a winner on the session, yet your P&L is going to say the complete opposite. And that's the key takeaway from this lesson, is that when we are using risk reward plays of 1 to 2, it's really, really, really hard to make P&L. Really difficult, particularly if we're going to start including commissions into the equation. Okay, but another fabulous drill to go and try. Why? Because you will learn some truths about using 1 to 2 risk reward. Not my truths, your own truths, your own interpretations off of this exercise. Okay, the next drill. Now we're going to move to a 20 tick stop and a 40 tick winner. And again, what you'll see, the first 2 drills are a little bit more geared towards scalping type plays. Now we're moving a little bit more towards a swing type play. Okay, I must be careful using the word swing trading. Okay, this is not necessarily swing trading itself. It's just more of a swing trade relative to the first 2 drills. Okay, exact same thing. We get the price ladder up. This time now, ultimately, I'm going to have a 20 tick stop, so 5 handles. So I'm going to come down to somewhere 38 and a halves. Okay, and now I'm going to go look for a double the target. So I'm going to go up to 53s. Okay, and same thing. Right, and now your observations are going to be very different, because guess what? You're probably only going to get 1 to maximum 3 trades in a day. Okay, but again, there's a very, very important learning experience from that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that learning experience. You need to go and learn it for yourself, observe it for yourself, make notes for yourself, summarize it for yourself. Okay. More importantly, also, when you're doing these drills, what's very, very crucial, all 7 of them, and we'll do 3 more in the next session, but all of these drills, ultimately, what should be very, very revealing to you is, where do you start to naturally see yourself? Okay, far too often, and we'll talk about this in the next slide when we talk about style. Far too often, I see traders, talking like I want to be a scalper, but in actual fact, they do not have the personality traits to be a scalper. Okay, so when you're doing these drills, see yourself in them. What works for you? Do you like just being capable of saying, look, I think this is support. I like this area to be long, because obviously support is never an exact price, and it does require a little bit of a bigger stop. How do I feel taking these levels where I feel quite confident? Okay, if that works for you and it feels natural for you, you probably geared more towards swing type trades as opposed to pure scalping. Okay, you do not need to be a scalper and a swing trader and a day trader and a profile trader and. You need to be good at one thing. To discover what you're good at, you need to go through this process of trial and error. Okay, that's the third strategy. And then, or the third drill, sorry. And then the fourth drill is what we call double stop. And this is a fun little game, because what it now starts to invite is, rather than me fixing the drill, rather than me saying 5 to 10 and 10 to 5 and 20 to 40, now it is a little bit more discretionary. Okay, and now ultimately it's up to you. So if you believe you want to be long this market and you think, well, hang on a sec, look, I think this can go up to 48. I think I need a 5, 10, maybe, whatever, this kind of a stop. You need to double that as the target. Okay, so what you do now is, I'm giving you almost free range in determining the stop, but the condition in exchange for giving you that free range in the stop is you now need to use double that in the target. So I'm still expecting you to achieve a 2 to 1 risk reward, but you can define the stop. Okay, and again, what this does as a skill, as a lesson, and this is probably one of the most valuable lessons you'll learn, is there is a trade-off between how big a stop you use. Okay, yes, we all ultimately want the tightest stop, but the reality is, too tight, you get stopped out. Too loose, you lose too much. Okay, now, like I said to you, risk reward is paramount to putting dollars in your account. So if you're going to use very wide stops, ultimately you have to take massive targets. If you're going to use narrower stops, you can afford to have smaller targets. And that's what this exercise is going to expose you to. It's going to expose you to the degree of difficulty to achieving certain types of targets based on the stops you choose. Fantastic drill, very, very valuable. Probably a drill you want to do for a few days, not just one. Okay, because this is ultimately now a drill that is going to become more realistic for you when you start to trade on a live account. Okay, a stop is never fixed at 5 ticks exactly. It's never the same amount every time. It does vary based on each strategy and based on the market conditions in which that strategy exists.